Hey, you are listening to What the Sigma with Chad Stacks. Today on the show, gold prices soaring past $5,100 triggers a modern-day mining frenzy in South Africa. You know what the market hates more than anything? Being wrong in public about something obvious. Gold just cleared $5,000 an ounce, actually $5,100, and everyone's scrambling to explain it with the usual playbook. Safe haven assets, geopolitical chaos, government shutdown theater, tariff tantrums. Standard macro narrative. But here's what makes me laugh. While every hedge fund analyst was modeling Fed policy and inflation expectations, they completely missed 1,500 feet below Johannesburg. Somebody just opened the first new underground gold mine in South Africa in 15 years. The timing? Absolutely perfect. Wits Mining, Australian company, which already tells you who's actually paying attention, just brought Kala Shallows online. $90 million deployment, 17-year runway, 70,000 ounces annually at steady state. Break even around $1,200 to $1,300 per ounce. Gold's at $5,100. That's not a margin, that's a liquidity event with a mining permit attached. But let's debug this properly, because the surface level story misses the architecture underneath. South Africa used to produce 2/3 of global gold output. 2/3. The Witwatersrand Basin built Johannesburg, created an entire economic stack, defined a century. Then the whole system crashed. Output down 70% over 20 years. Workforce collapsed from 500,000 miners in the 80s to under 95,000 today. Anglo-American exited. Anglo-Gold pulled out. Every giant walked away, and conventional wisdom declared the thesis dead. Except they left gold behind. Minister Gwede Mantashe, speaking at the Kala Shallows opening ceremony, didn't optimize for diplomacy. All the names that dominated South African mining have disappeared from our vocabulary, he said. Anglo-American opened in the Free State goldfields 2 years after the National Party took power, and left 2 years after the ANC took power. There's no Anglo-Gold in South Africa today, so West Wits is creating new hope. Then he added, those big giants were very careless in their mining. Now mining historians will tell you that's incomplete analysis. Duncan Money points out the decline wasn't about carelessness or domestic politics, it was pure economics. When gold spiked in the 70s and 80s, it triggered worldwide expansion. Suddenly you could mine gold in places that didn't require going 3 kilometers underground in 120-degree heat. South Africa's technical debt, deepest, hottest, most expensive mines on Earth, made it fundamentally uncompetitive.
Building a new product? Temez Labs takes you from napkin sketch to the App Store. Trusted by Fortune 500s for quality, security, and speed. Book your free strategy session at temez.ai.
But here's what both narratives miss. They were right for the wrong price point. At $1,500 per ounce, South African deep-level mining is economically irrational. At $5,100, you're running different code entirely. Kala Shallows isn't deep level. Maximum depth, 850 meters. Rudy Deisel, West Wits CEO, calls it a virgin piece of ground and, really, a shallow gold mine. They're leveraging existing processing infrastructure, Sibanye-Stillwater's Ezewini plant, which eliminates the capital expense of building an entire processing facility. That's the kind of capital efficiency that makes investment committees actually smile. The Industrial Development Corporation and ABSA Group deployed $50 million in debt financing. First ore surfaced in October, official opening in December, complete with ministerial ribbon cutting. First gold pour expected in March. And the timing, again, is almost suspicious in its precision. Because while West Wits was mobilizing contractors and commissioning equipment and running geotechnical surveys, gold was quietly scaling. $3,340 per ounce in August, $4,000 during development, now $5,100. Deisel told reporters, it was always good, but with these prices, where gold has gone, this project just became better and better. Translation, we built the casino and the house odds just doubled. But let's zoom out and look at the platform layer, because Kala Shallows isn't just one asset, it's a signal. The JSE's Precious Metals Index tripled last year. AngloGold Ashanti hit 750 billion rand market cap, shares up 250%. Goldfields peaked at 728 billion in October. These aren't incremental adjustments. This is a sector repricing itself in real time. And here's what the market's not modeling. The Witwatersrand Basin project contains an estimated resource of over 5 million ounces. Kala Shallows extracts 70,000 ounces annually. West Wits has a long-term vision called Project 200, 200,000 ounces per year. They're not building a mine, they're building infrastructure for scale. Now before we get euphoric, let's talk about what's missing from the deck, because the gaps are almost as revealing as what's being disclosed. Environmental impact? Not mentioned. Water usage, tailings management, carbon footprint, complete silence. In a country facing water stress with a mining history that includes some truly spectacular environmental failures, that omission is strategically loud. Labor perspectives? We hear about 1,000 jobs created, which sounds compelling until you remember this sector used to employ 500,000 people. We're not hearing from workers themselves, unions, or anyone analyzing what these positions actually pay or what the safety metrics look like. Community opposition? The coverage shows community leaders at the opening ceremony optimize for cameras. But mining projects always have winners and losers. Who got displaced? Who's concerned? That story isn't being told. And then there's the elephant in the data center that everyone's pretending isn't there. Illegal mining. The Zama-Zamas. With gold at 5,100, the incentive to access abandoned sites just went exponential. The government's running a hardline operation called Vala Umgodi. Close the hole. 72 bodies recovered from Stilfontein. That's not a statistic. That's a mass casualty event driven by economics and desperation. What happens when formal sector mining revives in areas where informal economies have developed around abandoned infrastructure? What happens to those people? Not covered. Here's the other dependency that should give you pause. All of this, every projection, every ribbon-cutting ceremony, every forecast, depends entirely on gold staying expensive. If we see another scenario where gold crashes from 1900 to 1050, these economics evaporate. West Wits has less capital cushion than the departed giants. Mid-tier companies are nimble until they're not. Montashi's betting that mid-tier operators will rediscover gold that was left behind. He might be right, but he's betting with other people's capital and other people's employment in a sector that's already shed 400,000 positions. The new Mineral and Petroleum Resources Development Amendment Bill is supposed to be the biggest regulatory overhaul in 20 years. Critics say it doesn't actually resolve policy uncertainty. Montashe keeps promising an online licensing system. It keeps not materializing. Sibanye-Stillwater, the company processing Kala Shallow's ore, previously cited government's mismanagement of the economy and policy uncertainty as factors in declining production.
Oh, hey, friend. Do you like what you're hearing? Now you can have a ridiculously amazing podcast, too. Check out holler.studio to get yourself one today.
So who's right? Is this a genuine sector revival or a commodity price mirage? Here's my read. Both. The gold is real. The economics at current prices are undeniable. The technical execution shallow mining, existing infrastructure, disciplined capital deployment is intelligent. West Wits isn't trying to recreate the glory days of deep-level mining. They're building something different, something that works at contemporary prices with contemporary technology. But let's be precise about what this is. This isn't South Africa reclaiming its position as the world's gold superpower. This is a mid-tier company making a calculated bet that geopolitical chaos and monetary uncertainty will keep precious metals elevated long enough to extract 70,000 ounces annually for 17 years. And you know what? At $5,100 per ounce, that's probably correct. The broader implications are what interest me. Because if Kala Shallows executes, if they hit production targets, maintain costs, avoid failures, every mid-tier mining company with a Witwatersrand concession is going to start recalculating. That 5 million ounce resource estimate starts looking very different when gold's at 5,000 versus 2,000. South Africa's mining sector might not be dead. It might just have been waiting for the right price point. And here's the pattern that makes me smile. While everyone was obsessing over tech stocks and crypto and whatever chaos is trending this week, the oldest store of value in human history just reminded everyone why civilizations have fought over it for 5,000 years. Gold doesn't care about your disruption narrative. It doesn't care about your TAM or your network effects or your growth story. It just sits there, dense and inert and valuable, waiting for the world to remember that sometimes the old systems work. 1,500 feet below Johannesburg, in tunnels everyone assumed were deprecated, they're remembering. Remember, nothing said in this podcast is financial advice. This has been another fire episode at What the Sigma. Smash that follow button and tap 5 stars to spread the butter. Fortune favors the bold, baby!
Grep News. Tamez.